What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. This one's gonna be a little bit different than what we're normally used to, but today we are gonna go over some of the best holds you could have done in 2021. These are not in any particular order, nor am I saying these are the best holds that you had to do in 2021. These are just some that I thought we can mention so you guys can have an idea of what's a good hold. So if you see any of these similar type of shoes in 2022, definitely hold on to them. As we know, history repeats itself. And yeah, let's start off with number 10. Okay, so for number 10, we have the Jordan 1 Lows in the black, white, and gray colorway, specifically the grade school sizes. Now, I remember when these came out, I did have a few pairs of them. I'm not sure if I had grade school. You know what? It's very possible. As you can see, a very clean shoe, pretty much just a black shadow colorway. So let's look at the prices of all time. As you can see, just it goes straight up. Now, when these dropped, you could probably get these for, I'm gonna be honest, if you're buying locally, like $320, $340, maximum $350 if you buy right. You could have got bulk of these, because I remember a lot of people had these. If you just waited a few months, they already start going up to like a 180, 160 mark. They stay between 160 and 180 for quite a while, but then they finally hit that 200 mark, and then they keep going up from there all the way up to just barely 300. As if we can see right now, prices are very close to 300. So if you bought in at like 140, that's already some pretty good profit here, around double of what you paid. And yeah, that's number 10. Let's move on to number 9. That is going to be another Jordan 1 Low. However, this is a woman exclusive, an all wolf gray with some icy bottoms. These ones you could already know are going to be a good hold. A very wearable shoe. As you'll see, as for a lot of these, the reason that makes it such a good hold is because they're very wearable. So let's go down into some prices, and as you can see, again, just straight all the way up there. Now, if you were lucky, you could get some pairs for around 200, 220, especially the 220 range. See, 200, 212, 212. See, there's no way you couldn't have secured a good amount of pairs for 220. For almost a month, it was below 220. It did not take long to hit that big jump. As soon as it got to 220, it pretty much immediately went all the way up to 250, and then keeps going to 70. Then a little bit back down, you know, it dies down just a little bit during September area, still in that 250 mark. So if you bought it for 200, you're already up 50 bucks. And then we see just a little bit of a bump all the way to 260, then a little bit of a dip again. But here is when it starts to go up from 260. It goes from 270s, we hit the 280 mark, finally hit the 300 mark, keeps climbing all the way up to where it is now, pretty much at the $400 range. Let's go look at the prices now. As you can see, they're all well over the $400, some in the mid 400 marks, and the bigger size is almost hitting $500. So when it comes to women exclusives, always go for the bigger sizes. You can see right here, the bigger sizes do sell a lot higher than the smaller sizes. And as you can see, a lot of these people on YouTube aren't mentioned. I didn't see a single YouTube video recommending people hold on to these Jordan 1 Wolf Grays, because you know they want to keep that a secret for themselves so they can buy up all the pairs. But I'm sharing you this. This is definitely one of the best holds of 2021. Moving on to number 8. You had to have guessed this one. The Jordan 1 Low UNCs. The UNC colorway on any sneaker is a very sought after. The UNC colorways always sell out, so there is no reason of a doubt that these also wouldn't do very well. So let's go down and see the prices. As you can see, it still goes up, maybe not as drastic as the other pair, the Wolf Grays, but as you can see, they drop all the way down to like the 170, even going as low as to 160. Buying these around 180 would have been good, but this is on StockX, which means they're taking away some of your profit from fees. So you could have probably have gotten a bunch of these locally for around the 170, 160 mark. And as you can see, it did not take long for them to slowly go up, almost hitting 200, but not about there. And then finally, a few months into it, it finally hit the 200 mark, and from there it kind of stayed. It didn't really move that much, and And also, if you bought here, it would have been a good time. Gain a bunch of pairs for 200. Still would have made profit. I think 200 for these are still a crazy deal. But then it will slowly dip down to that October range where it did fall below 200. But back in November, it did pick up back to 200. And from there on, it just kept going up to eventually where it's at now, which is around the $300 mark. So if you bought them for $200, you bought 10 pairs. Now you're up $100 each pair. That's $1,000 profit. But let's see the prices on them now. All of them are around the 300 mark. I do see these going up even more just because the UNC colorway is such a wearable colorway. I could see these hitting close to 400. I don't know if they'll go over 400, but still I think there's profit to be made in these, but definitely not as much as it was when they first came out. Let's move on to number 7, which is, as you can see, there's kind of a trend going on. Lots of Jordans, because right now Jordans are just very hyped right now, and honestly a lot of this stuff did way better than like Yeezys and stuff. Honestly, Yeezys didn't come close to what Jordan did. So the Jordan 1 mid Dutch green, yet again a women's exclusive. These ones kind of surprised me. Just looking at them, you wouldn't expect it to be as wearable as the other ones. The very dark green with like a very faint lime green as a background with some pink laces. I don't think these are as wearable as the previous ones. However, they are selling incredibly well. So when they first came out, they were hovering around, I would say, the $280, $260 mark for a hot minute. But as you can see, it dipped down to $260 in July and made its way back up to the $300 mark in August. And from there it did a little bit better and reached a $320, but then again dipped all the way down to the $360, $370 mark. And from there, that's the lowest it went down. And from there it just climbs all the way up to where it eventually hit the $300 mark yet again, and it kept climbing where it's at all the way here now, close to the $500 mark. As you can see, the highest sale was around $534. Right now it's very close to hitting $500 again. But let's go look at the asks. As you can see, some of them are over $500, some of them a little bit below 500, but these are doing crazy well, and honestly a shock to me because I did not expect these ones to be a good hold. I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't pay any attention to this shoe either. But moving on to number 6, we got some Jordan 4. Now this one was more of a pricier one to get into if you had money to spend on shoes to hold. So just like the Jordan 1 mochas, those ones are like the budget of the Travis Scott mochas. These are the same thing. These are the budget Travis Scott 4s. So with that, there's already a huge amount of demand on it. But let's go down, and as you can see, the bar kind of looks a little straight, but trust me, they are moving very high numbers. So once they originally dropped, they were sitting around the 420 to, I would say, around the 460 mark for a very long time. A couple of months they were hitting around that. So getting pairs for around 460 to 440 was very doable. It had a slight dip, nothing too crazy, and it kept going from there, where it's at 500, kept going up, had a few little dips into here, but stayed around that 500 mark where it keeps going up to all the way to the 600 plus mark where we are now, where all these shoes are 600 plus, some of them even in the 700, like a 12.5. This one could possibly hit even $800. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I still see growth in these shoes, but yeah, definitely not as much profit margin as the previous ones, just because it costs so much just to get into these ones were a no-brainer pretty much to buy a lot of pairs and hold on to. Moving on to number 5, finally something different, a Dunk Low in the Bordeaux colorway. Now this one very similar to others. It started off very quiet and boom, just shot up in prices. You could have easily have got lots of pairs of these for the 220 mark and even lower if you're buying locally. Could have possibly got some for 200 if you bought like bulk off somebody, because remember, these are sales, so someone sold it for 217 minus all the sale tax StockX provides, so you could have easily bought these for around the 220 $200 mark. And just like every other shoe, they've slowly gone up in price. Did not take very long for them to hit that $300 mark all the way up in November, literally only a couple months, and from there they just kept going up to where they are now. All of them over 400, 10.5 and up are over 500, size 11.5 600. The higher sizes always do better because men are trying to fit into these. But yet again, just like a lot of these, a very wearable colorway, a Nike Dunk, which is a very sought after shoe right now. Everyone wants Dunks. But moving on from the top 5, we're going to number 4, which is a Jordan 4, the white Oreo. I'm sure lots of you guys expected this one to be on the list. I'm not gonna lie, I was mad dumb. If you were watching my $100 to $100,000, you know I had so many of these. I even had a size 13. Let's just quickly peek what a 13 is right now. $569. I sold it for like $300. Pain, nothing but pain. But moving on, looking at this, you can see like, okay, it's kind of flat. There's only a little bit of bump, but it bumps up to a big number. So it might have been 360. Actually, looking back, I think it was 360, which back then there was a lot of people posting it for that price. 360, 350, 380 mark. You could have got a lot of pairs for that. From 360, they pretty much never stopped going up, to eventually in a few months they hit 400, kept going up, freaking almost 500 just in a month alone. They had a little bit of a slight dip here, but nothing too crazy, because it just eventually kept going up to where it's at 500. And then these little bumps are huge bumps. They add up quite big, because we're already at over $600 now, which is where they are now. Let's look at these, all of them over $600, except for a few of them like the 9.5, 8.5. Majority of these are all over $600, and trust me, these are very easy to get. You could have got lots of pairs of them, especially for retail. I had no problem getting these for retail. But looking at it, like we said a lot, a very wearable shoe, all white. Jordan 4s are getting more and more popular, and not gonna lie, a lot of people slept on this pair, especially me, not thinking that it would have as high as a resale value now. But this is what we're doing. We're just going over, we're revisiting all of 2021, so we don't make the same mistakes as we did last year, and you know, we have a better knowledge of what shoes are going to perform in the long term. So now for the top 3, let's move on to the Nike Dunk Low, the UNC colorway. The Nike Dunk Lows are very, very popular right now, and the UNC colorway always sells out pretty much no matter the shoe. So let's go look. As you can see, let's start off, how much could you have bought these for? Honestly, I see you guys having no problem buying these for around $350. Then as you can see, it did not take them very long to reach the $400 mark, and from $400 they slowly had a little bit of a rise, but you know, stayed at $400 for a decent amount of time. Then they started going up in price a lot, where they are over $500 now. And honestly, these are, I expect these to go even higher up. These could be like a $700, $800 shoe in the future. But let's look at the prices now. Most of these are over $500, some of them even $6, a 10.5, a 7, 10.5 is $700, $700. I don't think that's the true price of these, because as you can see, like 4.5 is 98 grand. Just don't pay attention to these ones. These are over $500 now, and honestly, I expect these to go up even more in 2022. But moving on to the final 2, these ones are some of the best that you could have held on to. So let's go on to number 2 and see what they are. Another Jordan 1 Low. As you can see, a lot of lows in this video. That's just because prices on Jordan 1 Lows, the retail price are so much lower than highs, making profit wise just so much higher. But this Jordan 1 Low in particular, as you can see, it's a all white with some brown accents, and it's just such a clean colorway. Yet again, very, very wearable. There's not a lot of Jordans with this color blocking, especially a low. But let's go check out the prices. As you can see, it's very, very sporadic. It's not a clean line like we're used to. You could have got lots of pairs for like 220 to 200, because they're going for under 200 here. They didn't really break 220 except for a few outliers, but like 200, I guarantee lots of you guys could have got these for that price. But out of nowhere, they skyrocketed from 211 all to 250, and they kept climbing to over $300 now. These ones were a big sleeper. I don't think anyone really paid attention to these ones. I don't know why. The colorway is so clean. This is why you guys have to keep up to date of what's releasing, because sleepers like these tend to happen quite often, as we've seen in a few of these. But let's look at prices now. All of them over 300, in the mid 300s. But let's move on to the number 1 spot, which were these, the Nike Dunk Low Michigan State. But in particular, the grade school sizes, these things freaking exploded in price. Great color blocking, very, very wearable, and like we talked about before, it's a Nike Dunk Low, very, very sought after. Let's go look at price. As you can see, it started off big, it dipped down, and it just kept going. So let's see what you could have paid for these. Honestly, they were a little bit overpriced at the start, starting at over $400, and then they dipped down all the way down to the mid $200 mark, but quickly rise. So honestly, you'd have had to act very, very fast to get pairs for around $250 to $300, but anything between there would have been a very good buy. They were never this low again, because then they started skyrocketing to $300 plus, $400, $450, very close to $500. Maybe a little bit of a restock happened here. I'm not 100% sure why it dipped down from almost 500 to the mid 300s. They kept going up. 450 finally broke past that 500, where they're in the 530s, very close to the $600 mark. Broke past the $600 mark. Let's see where they are now. 6.5Y currently are the best, where they're at $700. Most of these are very close to hitting over $700. So this just shows you guys that you don't have to just buy men's sizes. Grade school sizes also do very well, and in certain cases grade school actually sells more than the men's sizes. So I hope you guys could have taken away something from this video and apply it into 2022. Comment down below if any of these surprised you, or if there's a sneaker that I have missed. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in my next one.